Today we are going to look at 11.2, which is the area of triangles, trapezoids, and rhombi. Let's first look at the perimeter and area of triangles. These formulas can be found on your Keystone formula sheet as well. Perimeter is adding up all the sides. Area is 1/2 base times height, where the height is perpendicular to the base. Let's look at the first example. We are going to find the area of this triangle. So area of a triangle, 1/2 base times height. When I look at this picture, this would be my entire base. So my entire base is actually 5 meters. And I don't know the height yet. I can find it though using this right triangle, okay, and using the Pythagorean theorem. So Pythagorean theorem tells me I can do h squared plus the one leg, 2 squared, equals the hypotenuse, 3 squared. Okay, so I get h squared plus 4 equals 9. If I subtract the 4, h squared equals 5, and the height is the square root of 5. Okay, I'm going to put that in my picture, and now I'm going to substitute in. So 1/2, the base is 5, and the height is square root of 5. So for my area, if I wanted the exact answer, it would be 1 times 5 times square root of 5. So 5 square root of 5. 2 times 1 over 2. 5 square root of 5 over 2 square meters. Now, in this question, they do ask me to round to the nearest tenth. So you would just type that into your calculator, and you would get 5.6 square meters. That would be our area rounded to the nearest tenth. Okay? Let's look at the next example. So we have the height of a triangle 12 inches more than its base. They give us that the area is 560 square inches. We are going to find the base and the height. Area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. Okay? Let's go ahead and define, like, what is the base, what is the height? So I don't know the base. I'm just going to call that B. I don't know the height, but I do know that it is 12 more than the base. So that can be defined as the base plus 12. So now let's go ahead and substitute in what we know. We know the area is 560. Base is B, and the height is B plus 12. Let's go ahead and get rid of this 1/2 by multiplying everything by 2. So if I multiply by 2, 2 times 560, that's 1,120. This 2 and the 1/2 simplify, leave me just with B times B plus 12. Now let's go ahead and distribute B. So I get 1,120 equals B squared plus 12B. And I know I'm going to need to factor. So in order to factor, let's get this set equal to 0. B squared plus 12B minus 1,120 equals 0. Now I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to negative 1,120, add to positive 12. And my two factors then are going to be B minus 28 times B plus 40. 40 times a negative 28 gives me negative 1,120. 40 plus a negative 28 gives me positive 12. Now if I solve, I get B equals 28 or negative 40. In the context of my problem, B is representing the base. I don't want a negative base, so B must be 28. To answer the question then, the base would be 28 inches, and the height would be 28 plus 12, 40 inches. It's always a good idea to go back. I'm not going to show this work, but go back and just double check your answer. If I take 1/2 times 28 times 40, that does give me that 560 that I want. So good idea to kind of check your answer when you're going backwards like this. Let's move on to the next sheet. Next we have trapezoids. Perimeter and area formula can also be found on your Keystone formula sheet. Perimeter is adding them all together. Area is 1/2 height times A plus B. A plus B must be the two sides of the trapezoid that are parallel. If you remember trapezoid properties, two sides are parallel, two sides are not. A and B must be the parallel sides. So let's use these formulas. We're going to find the area of this trapezoid. 30 can represent A, 25 can represent B, and this perpendicular line here would be my height. Area of a trapezoid is 1/2 height, A plus B. So we have 1/2. The height is 11. 30 plus 25. And let's go ahead and add in our parentheses. So we get 55. And now let's multiply. So I'm going to multiply 1 times 11 times 55. And that gives me 605. And then 2 times 1, which is 2. 605 does not divide evenly into 2. We do not want a decimal. We just want to keep that exact answer. So I'm going to keep that as 605 over 2 square feet for my area here. Okay, now let's look at this one. So 6 would be like A, 9 would be like B, and 5, that would be like C or D, some of those other two sides that are not parallel. What I do not have here is my height, but I can kind of put my height in there. It would be perpendicular, and I put it there so that way I form a right triangle that will hopefully help me solve for what my height is. So in this right triangle, I know the hypotenuse is 5, and I'm trying to find this leg that's the height. And I can find my other leg by finding the difference between 9 and 6. So if this whole thing is 9, this part is 6, 9 minus 6, this little section here, that's going to be 3 feet. Now I can use my Pythagorean theorem to find that height. So if I take h squared plus 3 squared equals 5 squared, I get h squared plus 9 equals 25. So h squared, if I subtract the 9, is 16. Take the square root. The height here would be 4. Okay? Now I can substitute into my area formula. So area is 1/2 height, A plus B. So I have 1/2. The height is 4. 6 plus 9. That's my A and my B. And so I get 1/2. 4 times 15. And when I multiply all this out, 1 times 4 times 15 is 60 divided by 2, which is 30 square feet. And so my area is 30 square feet. Okay, let's keep going. So now we're going to do a trapezoid one, kind of working backwards. They're giving me the area of the trapezoid, and they're giving me the height, and they're giving me one of my bases, and I need to find the other base. Okay, let's set up our formula. So area is 1/2 height, A plus B, base plus base. Okay, so the area we know is 468, 1/2. I know my height is 18, and I know one of my bases is 20, the other one I don't know. It doesn't matter which one you substitute in for. I'm just going to make A be 20, and we're going to solve for B. Okay, let's get rid of this 1/2 like we did before. That is not how you have to start. I'm just going to start that way since we did that earlier. If I get rid of that 1/2, 468 times 1/2 is going to give me 936. And then that's going to simplify out there. And I'm going to be left with 18 times 20 plus B. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and divide away that 18. You could substitute, or you could distribute it if you want. I'm going to just divide it out. 936 divided by 18 gives me 52, equal to 20 plus B. If I subtract the 20 then, B is 32. B, or the other base, is 32 meters. Don't forget that unit. And as I said earlier, it's always a good idea to substitute that back in and check. Make sure you get that area of 468 square meters. I'm going to continue perimeter and area for a rhombus in another video, so stay tuned.